Alright guys, so I am back at it working on the car again today, and I just had a few thoughts. There's just a few small things that I need to take care of. I need to remove the heat shields for the front axles. I believe that's just like 2 hex bolts or something like that. And my original idea was to pull the engine and trans out, set the transmission down on like a wooden rolling dolly, and unbolt the transmission from the engine. And then I could ultimately, or if I wanted to, put the engine onto an engine stand. That'll give me access to, by separating them, it'll give me access to the torque converter to replace that and all that. The only thing is, I didn't even think about it, but I need to probably unbolt the torque converter while everything's still in the car. Because once I pull the engine and trans out and set it down, I won't be able to get to the bottom to unbolt the torque converter. So I'm thinking if I can unbolt I think there's 3 and 3, so there's like 6 bolts total. I think 2 regular headed bolts and 3 regular bolts and then 3 like Torx bolts to get the torque converter unbolted. And then once I pull everything out, then I can unbolt them and everything should come apart. So I did go to Home Depot and I picked up a couple clevis things, and that should be useful for attaching to the engine to actually be able to lift. So that's how I'm going to try to pull the engine and trans. I haven't unbolted anything with like the strut towers or the suspension on the side of the car. I may have to do something with that to get everything free and loose. Some people recommend disconnecting your pinch bolt on your front suspension. That'll allow your spindles to kind of flop out and your axles to pop free. I might be able to get away without doing that. I don't know. We're gonna test this out. So first things first, remove those heat shields, then get under the car and try to see if I can get the torque converter and all that unbolted before I start pulling the engine. Now I think I'm also gonna loosen up the subframe. Probably one of the easier ways to go about doing this is to completely drop the subframe. I didn't like doing that when I went stage 2. Now if you have stock exhaust on your car, you pretty much have to drop the subframe. Your catalytic converters that are built into your downpipes, the pipes come out and then it flanges out pretty large for your catalytic converter. That will not fit through your subframe and all that down there. So if you have aftermarket downpipes, you might be okay because they don't have that extra wide catalytic converter on them. If you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, either look under your car and look at your downpipes or check out one of my other videos or my stage 2 video where I talk about when I installed my downpipes, my aftermarket downpipes. So this car does have the aftermarket downpipes, so that's what I'm thinking. I can relatively leave the subframe in the car, but I probably will loosen it just a little bit, just so I can get a little bit more room to get everything in and out. That's about it. So this hasn't been too bad of a job. I know you guys that do this like every weekend or whatever can get this down to like a 2-hour job. It hasn't taken me much longer than that. I probably got maybe, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours or so. You know, doing the filming and all that slows everything down, of course. And but I also do the filming so that way I can watch my videos and go back and figure out what I did or undid and do the opposite when I reinstall everything. So let's do it to it. Alright, so here's my weak attempt at showing you the axle heat shields, but if you follow my long extension all the way down, it's that flap sticking up. And let me see here. There it is. It's basically just 2 T40 bolts, and that will remove that entire cover so we can lift this out without any interference. Go ahead and remove both of those on both sides of the car. Alright, I did misspeak. There are a total of 3 bolts. So this is the driver's side. You got 1, 2, 3. When I removed this top middle one, it fell somewhere. It's probably stuck in behind the transmission or near the axle back here. But I got about a 2-foot extension, which is a swivel on the end, with a T40. Alright, so just a quick note. This is the passenger heat shield, and this is the driver's side heat shield. Looks like my driver's side one is a little bit damaged. Got a crack in it, but I wanted to show that the passenger side is the smaller of the two, or shorter of the two. Okay, so we got the engine supported here with the cherry picker, and it's got it bolted up to the mounting points. There's one on the front of the driver's side head and one on the back of the the front passenger side head and the back driver's side head. And hoping we got enough room here to slide it straight back. It's gonna be close. So now we're going to start out bolting the subframe and all that. There's just a couple more things that I didn't cover, but back behind the engine here is where the heater core hoses connect up. So you can see them here. This is just a decorative shroud. So I'm going to pull that off, and you can either disconnect them here at the heater core or on the other side where it connects to the engine block. What I did when I just did the heater core for the second time is I snugged these lines all the way up to the heater core, which is going to make it more of a bear to remove. So I might try this time to just disconnect them from the back of the engine. So what I'm going to do is, after the engine trans is free or loose, I'll pull it out just a few inches and reach down there. If you have a manual car, you also have to disconnect your clutch cable. So after looking under the car, I couldn't really see any access point to get to the torque converter and all that. So I'm just going to pull this all out, try to figure it out after I get it out of the car, and hope it goes well. I did break off. There's a vacuum valve right here. I snapped this line off here, just under the pancake valve. That was when I was trying to hook up the chain. So I gotta figure out what that valve is called. This one here, you can see it sheared off. And order another one. Yeah. Oh, that's what it looks like down in here, which I was talking about. See how it's loose? It should be bolted to that bracket over there and on this side. So that's why I had so many problems getting this disconnected. But so yeah, let's move underneath to the subframe, and once we start unbolting that, more weight's gonna start being applied to the lift here. Alright, so here's where we're at. We're under the car. We got the transmission supported with the jack. The engine is supported from above with a lift cherry picker, and we got the transmission mounts undone, which is over here, those silver shiny circles. And basically we're just not going to have enough room to slide this out. Let me see if it'll show up on camera. So if you look over here, the transmission pan will not clear the subframe. That sucks. So it's not really even showing up on camera. I almost got the trans mounts to clear, but yeah, so what everyone does is they loosen the subframe, which are these things here, and there's over on this side. Once I do that, the back of the subframe will drop. So I'm going to start there first, and then loosen the front up if I need to. That will just hopefully drop it like an inch or so to clear the pan. After undoing the front subframe bolts, I was able to get the subframe just to drop maybe an inch. The subframe bolts are the ones in this picture here. So I removed the rear ones, which is number 1 and 2 on the diagram. This is so blurry. And then I did the transmission mounts, which are 3 and 4. And then did 5 and 6 up towards the engine. Things to watch for: make sure your engine mounts are clear after you unbolt them. So that one's clear, and that one's clear. Now also don't forget to check your axles. Make sure that they are not seized up, bound up, stuck up, what? And right now they look good. I think we're gonna have a little bit of clearance problems on the driver's side in a second here. Let me show you. Here's the driver's side, and you can see the axles popped free, nice and clear, but we got this shield and this mount towards the right. I think that's not the transmission mount. But the biggest thing is, by moving it forward a couple inches, we now have room along the firewall here. So ultimately what that's going to give us is access to the heater core hoses. I don't know, I'm thinking maybe I should just pop them free from up here, because I don't know. Yeah, I'll do that now.